It's fitting that the last game at the old Wembley Stadium should be against the Germans. History, sport, pride and prejudice are all tied up in these confrontations against our old enemy, giving the games a special significance that's not found in matches against other nations such as Italy or France or even mighty Brazil. Only the Germans, it seems, can give us that excuse to be unashamedly English. You could argue that in the last 50 years, Wembley Stadium has been the only place where it's been acceptable for the English working class to express their national identity. Now the stadium is to be rebuilt. The Twin Towers will be demolished and something new will rise on that sacred site. Just as the Tate Modern sprang from the old-fashioned ideas of the Tate Gallery, so the new stadium will offer us the opportunity to look at our England in a new way.
Bring me my bow of burning gold. Bring me my arrows of desire. Bring me my spear of clouds unfold. Bring me my chariot of fire. I will not.
It's my belief that national identity is a purely personal thing. No one else can tell you what you are. I know what I feel being English is about, but what do other Londoners think? I'm taking a bus ride to try and find out. And what about you when you think about England? Are you half English?
I'm completely Jamaican, half something, no. I would.
And your daughter?
Young man, why do you ask me that question like I was born over the sea?
No, I just wonder. You've been here most of your life.
Most of my life, yeah, but not. I've got to go because, sorry.
It's okay, yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
I've been here most of my teenager life and whatever not, but.
Did you have a job when you first came? What work did you do?
No, I came to go to school.
Right.
Secondary school.
You made your life here. And your family's here now and you live
my family is here, yes, but it's not my life. My intention is going back home.
It is?
Yeah.
So you still think of Jamaica as your home?
Oh, yeah.
But when you go back, people will think of you as someone from England, won't they, when you go back to Jamaica?
Yeah, they automatically, they can see it in your colouring.
Yeah.
Even now I'm speaking to you.
Yeah. So are you
When I go home, I do revert back to my proper dialect.
Yes, but...
Yeah? And they still recognise that I'm a tourist. They call me a tourist.
So there is something different about you, having been here then?
Yeah. The colouring, the way you walk, for a start. You go out there, you start walking without opening your mouth, they automatically say, she's foreigner, she's from foreigner.
So do you walk a bit English?
Because we walk fast.
So yeah, but you walk like an English person?
Yeah, I walk like an English person.
You talk a little bit like an English person?
A little bit,
So a little bit of you is English then?
Oh yeah, a little bit. So I would say a little bit for my daughter's sake.
And what about your daughter? Is your daughter half English?
No, she would say she's English.
What would it be like, your idea of England, a perfect kind of England?
A big melting pot with everybody in it, being loving, friendly, living a life of luxury.
And what would the weather be like?
The weather?
Yeah.
Very, very hot indeed, my dear. Very, very hot. Lovely and hot. And again, every house that you look around would have swimming pool.
Yeah.
Because the seasides are too far.
You're right. You're right. It all begins in 1924 when the Twin Towers were under construction. They and the stadium were part of a great exhibition. In the 20s, the British Empire was at its zenith. The British Empire exhibition of 1924 drew hundreds of thousands of curious Britons to a previously anonymous area of northwest London. On waste ground near the suburb of Wembley, dozens of pavilions were erected and representatives from each dominion or colony were invited to display the finest that their countries had to offer. The public queued for hours to sample exotic delights from faraway cultures. In the Indian pavilion, hot, spicy food was available. In the pavilion of the West Indies, many people heard Caribbean music for the first time. And in the Australian building, pale inhabitants of this island got a taste of what it might be like to travel to the other side of the world. Within 25 years, the British Empire had ceased to exist. Within 50 years, our overseas possessions had dwindled to a few little red dots on the world map. And within 75 years, those things that seemed so exotic in the concrete pavilions at Wembley had come to define the multicultural city that is now London. Now many of London's high streets serve up exotic food as everyday fare. And the people that eat that food have changed with it. Meet my mum. I love the sizzling sound of a chicken tikka, Mum.
Yeah, it's lovely.
I love the sound of it coming towards you in a restaurant. You know, it's the most popular meal in a restaurant in England now. Do you know it? It's very popular. Can you remember when you first had Indian food?
Long time ago.
When I was little?
Yeah. Before you were here, really. In Ilford.
Yeah.
There was no onions in there. Do you want some salad?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Billy, sorry to interrupt, but do you go out for an Indian often?
I mean, I actually miss Indian food when I go abroad because I work a lot in the United States of America where the hot food of choice is Mexican food rather than Indian food. And I guess I don't know enough about Mexican food to be able to find the thing that is the spot, like a you know, a chicken korma or a tikka masala or something like that. And when we do find one, and I know where they are in New York and I know where they are in Washington DC, the Indian restaurants, we descend upon them and it's like home. It's, you know, home from home really for us.
That's what I was thinking. You're looking for home while you're doing that.
Yeah, I'm not looking for the taste of India. I'm looking for a taste of the East End.
So Mari, you've lived here in Barking all your life. And
No, not all my life, since I was married. Yeah.
so how long have you lived here?
42 years this year.
So you must have seen a few changes.
A lot of changing. When I first moved there was people from Ireland.
Mum, you can't say 42 years since you've been married.
I can't.
Because I'm 42 already.
It's 40 years then.
It can't be less, Mum, since you've been married. It's got to go up. What year did you get married?
Only 46.
Eh?
Don't argue with me, 46.
1953 you got married, didn't you?
I don't care.
I know that, but they're all going to think something went untoward happened.
Is it 47 years?
Just a sec.
Anyway,
We're back over to the Mr.
Sorry.
You
Director.
lived here 47 years. What's the difference now to what it was then?
Well, my next door neighbours are still English people, but all the next door neighbours from then on are Asians, Sikhs, Indians. They're all different relations, all different people. But we all get on very well together. They're very good neighbours and we talk to each other. Some of them can't speak English, and what they do is you talk to them, but they talk to their children.
I didn't grow up in a political household. You know,
No,
Mum
no.
originally, you know, wasn't greatly interested in politics in our family. And I don't think these things were really an issue when I was growing up. These people were just our neighbours. It didn't really matter. It was much more important that the guy over the road could fix televisions than the fact that he was Indian.
What was the diet like when Billy was a young lad?
Oh, meat and two veg. Meat and two veg, that's what we brought up on.
Let us, therefore, brace ourselves to our duties, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
For those of my mum's generation, the 1940s was their finest hour. Yet 60 years later, some people seem to have forgotten exactly what it was that Churchill said before the Battle of Britain. If the British Empire and its Commonwealth last for 1,000 years, men will say this was their finest hour. So you see, the honour belongs not only to England, or even just to Britain, but also to those millions of men and women who came from the dominions and colonies to stand alongside Churchill and my mum in those dark days. Some who came to fight for king and country even made this their home.
The headline in our papers and on the radio, Great Britain is at war. And the Nazi with their propaganda, and there's invasion coming up, etc. We need your help. And I myself and several thousand of us volunteer to fight for Great Britain.
I volunteered in Jamaica in 1943 and did part of my training there on a rest here in Yorkshire. My job was a ground crew, storekeeping.
In the RAF?
In the Royal Air Force.
Yeah.
I came in November. And I saw the smoke coming from the house, I thought that they were on fire. I never seen anything like that. And then it was winter and very cold, and it looked so dark. That was the only time I feel like, well, I shouldn't have come.
After my demob, I decided to live here. It was no problem in getting jobs. I went in the motor industry and carry on until I joined the civil service.
At that time, at the ending of the war, my intention was in the question because things were very bad at home. I mean, to work and things like that. And I said I would stay in England for 5 years, get some money and go back. Well, you know how many 5 years have passed me by. And I've been away from Jamaica nearly all my life. I mean, it's 50-odd years I've been doing this. And therefore, all my friends are here. I go to Jamaica now. After 4 weeks, I want to leave. I want to come back because, after all, although I was born in Jamaica and I'm a Jamaican, I haven't spent the time that I've spent here. And things to me, maybe it's more normal here than it is there.
Nearly 60 years after you first came here, has London changed a great deal in that time?
The people, the same people I saw 60 years ago, same type of people today. The only difference within the community, you have a multiracial mix. You don't need a Technicolor camera to get a Technicolor picture, no more.
No.
I feel a Londoner. I feel like a Londoner. I'm in London, I feel like a Londoner. And in fact, I am, when I go home, as I said before, after 4 weeks or so, I want to come home. I want to get back home.
The Winston Churchill pub in Notting Hill Gate is a shrine to the greatest Englishman of the 20th century. People come from miles around to spend the finest hour or two chatting with the Irish manager and eating Thai food.
That's number 16. It's stir-fried noodles, very hot, with prawns, and we have some peppers, green beans, cabbage, very hot. Should try it.
I haven't missed all week. Did you have a Guinness order, sir? Oh, sorry, no. Oh, we don't top this one up, baby. Well, it's a huge combination, all right, isn't it, you know? Well, it's what happened, you see. When I got the pub, Thai food, 16 years ago, I'm here now. Thai food wasn't available then and wasn't even existing in any pub at all. I believe I'm the first pub in London to have introduced Thai food. For me, I think tradition and character is something that is very, very special. We have this brewery, our lovely brewery, supplying us with lovely real ale. We have a lovely old traditional pub over 100 years old and hasn't been touched and has all the remaining character that it had in the beginning. And of course we combine then so many things in the pub. We have Churchill's birthday in November and then of course our Thai food. That has drawn a huge amount of people over the last 5 or 7 years and so on. And the combination is just something. People travel a lot more nowadays than they ever did, I think. They go to other countries, they get on very well, they see the people there, they enjoy their culture, their food, their way of life, and vice versa, people come from there to England now. And I think the whole thing is just, you know, coming together nicely.
London's the best place to be. I don't know, just the way the people. Because I mean, London is like so many different people, like all around me. It's like I get to meet like either English, Spanish, all over the world. Like, I mean, like, they're all together in London. Okay, you know, I was born in Thailand, but brought up here. I count myself as English as well. I'm proud to be English, or if I go to Thailand, I'm proud to be Thai. It depends where you go.
Do you like football?
Football, yeah. Manchester United.
I'm an avid Liverpool fan. I love them to bits. I'm there pretty much every Saturday, listening to the radio, finding out what the scores are.
I like football. It gives you something to focus on, you know. You've got to have something in your life that you keep in track with. Like, people have their soap operas and things they watch. So football's, and with my friends, obviously, you know, he's a friend of mine, so you've always got something to talk about, you've got something in common. It's just about any bloke you meet just about likes football. I love watching England. I watch every game. No matter where even if I have to step into a pub just to see 5–10 minutes of the match, I'll always see it, no matter what. It's not just England. You form a bond with the players. You know, you enjoy seeing this player play.
There's certain players that always stick out.
Yeah.
But India, it's for cricket, it's hockey and stuff. Football doesn't come into play over there. I'm Indian by origin. When it comes to the way we live and stuff, I say it's more Western in that way. We're more English in the way we've been brought up and how we act towards life nowadays. Because when I went back to India, I found it quite difficult to fit in. There's like all cultural divide and stuff, so it's very, very difficult to fit in. But here you just go about your everyday life and you don't think anything about it.
I think it's not just how you view yourself, it's how other people view you as well. You see, that's the whole thing. You have to create an image, but do other people view you as completely English? Because I could be in my head, I'm completely English. Yeah, I'm British, 100%. But I walk down the street, I've got brown skin in today. People think he's Asian. I'm known as the Asian. I'm not known as a British citizen. As in, he's British. I'm known as an Asian. You know, if I got into trouble or something, the police and it comes in the papers, it'll be a group of Asian youths. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be a group of British youths. So I'm not trying to kid myself here.
Take down the Union Jack, it clashes with the sunset, and put it in the attic with the Emperor's old clothes. When did it fall apart? Sometime in the 80s, when the great and the good gave way to the greedy and the mean. Britain isn't cool, you know, it's really not that great. It's not a proper country, doesn't even have a patron saint. It's just an economic union that's past its sell-by dates. I've watched with interest over the past few years as the flag of St George has begun to emerge from the Union Jack. You see it on bumper stickers and hip T-shirt designs, but does it represent a return to an idealised England of the past? As the Union Jack itself seems more and more to represent a monocultural society, is the flag of St George capable of representing an inclusive notion of who the English are? I hope so. Of course, there will always be those from both black and white communities who reject this idea of inclusiveness. But I believe the majority of us Londoners have a sense of belonging and tolerance that the cynics would despise. Some, however, find this mixture a cause for inspiration.
I guess I listened to a lot of my sister's stuff, which was Motown, then she had Santana, Beatles and whatever. But then at home there was a lot of my parents' music, so that was like Bengali folk music, contemporary music, Indian classical music, and then I would have my own stuff that I'd be checking out, like dub and whatever. Everybody in the band had the same kind of things going on throughout the whole band. We'll have covered punk, reggae, techno, jungle, whatever. ADF is probably the only band that has played rock festivals, indie festivals, dance festivals, reggae festivals, and melas, which are Indian festivals, you know. And what happens every time is some kind of fans from the other festivals end up turn up at these ones, and then what happens is they get to check out a bit of what else is going on. I reckon I spend a heck of a lot more time around Harrow when we're not off touring. I was brought up in Harrow, and I've just seen over the years how it's become more and more cosmopolitan. For me, that is what makes this such a brilliant, a wicked country, all right? It's what we always say is the only positive consequence of colonialism, all right, is that you have ended up with a country of really diverse, extremely diverse communities, i.e. communities that originate from thousands of miles away.
Of course, the day-to-day reality of dealing with this mix of cultures can make you feel like a stranger in your own street. Alex Renton moved from the upmarket Notting Hill Gate down to the Harrow Road.
Geographically, it was a move of about 4 streets. I mean, it was a shock for me and my girlfriend because we suddenly found ourselves going from a London which felt like ours to London which in a very gut way felt like it wasn't ours any longer. And initially, arriving as you do, you're a stranger in a strange town, everything seems very weird. It also felt aggressive in a way that I've never known in a street I lived in London. I felt myself reacting aggressively to what I saw as passive aggression on the street. This in a way I was getting stared at, if you like. One doesn't feel rational when it's on your doorstep and you're holding your baby and so on, and you begin to get frightened. And we found ourselves reacting in rather a tribal way on arriving.
This is the rhythm I like.
I mean, I realised then, even in my calmer moments, that if there was resentment of me, it's because I am a rich or rich-looking white person going into a district where rich-looking white people are quite often a threat. Our experience here was that our 6 months of initial sort of bafflement and some fear about moving here and feeling unaccepted and unwanted and getting antsy as a result of that was that was overcome really by having a toddler who insisted on marching up and down the street and saying hello to everybody and opening and closing their gates, which is his favourite hobby for some reason. But then people start saying hello back and then you start talking.
Fair enough, but what would you say was the main hurdle towards that? Do you think it's race?
No, I don't. I think the main hurdle... I think poverty is the main hurdle towards it. By a long way. I think people confuse issues of race with issues of poverty. But I have some sympathy with them. I think it's very easily done. But they, you only need to open your eyes and look around London and see that there are Westminster, the borough we're sitting in, again, 123 different nationalities. Most of whom get on incredibly well. Racial crime as such is actually very low. It's much lower where people are richer. When people are living happily, comfortably alongside each other, they don't start hitting each other because of their skin colour.
Our national flag has traditionally been very popular amongst the tattoo-wearing classes. But in these days of body art and nipple piercing, are the old symbols still as potent? So, Lau, do people still come in here and ask you to tattoo the Union Jack and the flag of St George, stuff like that on their arms?
We still do get a few people, not as many as were requested in the 1980s when the skinhead movement was very big. There was a big sort of patriotic surge then. But we do get asked for other flags. I mean, in this area we've got a very large number of Turks, Greek Cypriots and that, and they come in, you might do Turkish flags, you do the flag of Cyprus. We've had black customers come in, or mixed race, that have had like the flag of Jamaica, intertwined with the Union Jack, or half a Jamaican flag with half a Union Jack. So there are still some people getting it done, which you do find that some people have come in and ask for, I don't know, maybe a big Irish tricolor with a shamrock and island round it and all that, nice design, but they're really cockney. And you say to them, how come you're getting that done? And they're like, well, my great-granddad was Irish. And it's like, well, why aren't you having an English thing, I do think that sometimes it's frowned upon to say that you're proud of your country if you're English, but if you're from another country, Scotland or Wales or that, nobody says anything. I think that sometimes people, are sort of criticised for saying they're English or make them feel bad, because a lot of the people that have been spokespeople for this country have had really posh accents and that, and come across as being superior. And plus our history, there's been dark times in our history, but also if you look at Britain as a whole, for a little island you know, we've had some fantastic achievements, and you know, we should be proud of the things in our history that are good, and just learn from the things that are bad. Try and make positive things happen, you know.
Sorry about the Union Jack, folks, but I just couldn't go around with that. But well, thanks very much for your work, mate.
No problem, mate.
Cheers. And how's the country changed, you think?
Oh, it's changed quite a lot. I'd say it's changed about 75%.
In what aspect?
Well, there's not much prejudice as it was before. There's still prejudice, yes, but it's much better.
Yeah.
Everything, because when I came here, you couldn't get nothing for West Indian people, nothing for black people then. You know,
Yeah.
there's no food, there's nothing, not even place to rent in 65.
Yeah.
Can you imagine it? You know, and it was very bad. I didn't want to stay here. I used to cry to go home back.
What do you think about the idea of England as a country?
England as a country, it's quite good, believe me, with what's going on everywhere else.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful place to live.
It would be brilliant if I could end this programme by telling you those things that definitively make you English or not. But different people have different ideas about personal identity. And anyway, I'm not really looking for a racial definition or even an English national dress. What I want is a sense of belonging that is informed by history but not obsessed by it, that is defined by England's borders but not afraid to look beyond them, and that accepts that people do not have to be totally assimilated in order to make a valuable contribution to society. Like the new Wembley Stadium, this New England may not be to everyone's taste, but here in London it is being built. And given time, I honestly believe that we can all of us begin to feel at home in it. Take down the Union Jack, it clashes with the sunset, and pile up all those history books, but don't throw them away, 'cause they just might have a clue about what it really means to be an Anglo-Saxon in England.co.uk, to be an Anglo-Saxon in England.co.uk.